Hey guys, we're live here at ATA 2019 and we're in the Tink's booth. If you haven't figured it out, we're sitting here with the man himself. Tink, it's so great to have you and talk to you
It's
here.
good to see you again.
Well, you know what? We were stopping by, we're walking around, and everybody knows your product. Everybody's used your product, but I think you have a little bit of a story, don't you?
Well, yeah, I started the whole scent industry. I used to work for the NRA, and they wouldn't take ads for Buckler because it was a fraud, and it was not allowed, And I went to work for the NRA, and one of the things I changed was that. And in 1974, I got a trademark application for what they call letters patent, which is the trademark for the Tinks. And everybody thought I was really funny spending all that money, and now it's paid off. We're going into our 48th or 49th year. It's really hard to figure out. And someday we'll have a 50th anniversary. Hopefully I'll be around for it.
Oh yeah,
But we set the bar, and in an industry that had a lot of people in it, it's really hard to rise to the top. And it's really funny at the show. There was an archery show before the ATA show, and we used to go to that. In fact, some years they had both of them. And we're selling to the grandsons of the people that I sold to originally. Then we sold to their sons, and their grandsons are in the business now.
That's so neat.
So that's rare
That is rare.
in the archery industry.
That's got to be a testament, though, to your legacy because, like you said, you're coming up on 50 years of doing this. So, I mean, that's going to be surreal.
In case you want to know, I'm 77 years old.
Wow.
And I climbed a tree, and I killed a big 400-pound black bear, a Pope and Young bear in Alberta this year.
Wow.
I was hunting with Bob Fokerod, a legendary hunter. And I'm still climbing trees. And when I go to the doctors, they say, "Do we need to get you a wheelchair?" And I say, "No, I'm still climbing trees and driving fast cars."
Hey, that's okay though, right? As long as you enjoy doing what you're doing,
right?
That's what matters.
And there's a lot of people in the industry that have grown up and with a lot of bait and everything. In the olden days, we weren't allowed to bait, and now it's probably swinging back the other way. But the scent is not a bait. It's an odor, and it's really like a gas. Okay, and it blows away. It doesn't spread disease. There's no way that you can transfer CWD from one animal to another. I mean, deer piss in the woods every day. And they'd have to put a lot of deer in jail to stop that.
But you know what though? There's a lot of people that'll sit there and try to tell you that, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this, but you're absolutely right.
Well, trappers, if you know any trappers, they wear leather, rubber aprons, rubber boots, and they put fox on that shit. And they have to catch the craftiest animal, is a fox or coyote. I heard two stories yesterday that I hadn't ever heard before, because we used to have the bottles, but I had two people, a man and a woman, that told me that they went to spray this out of their blind, and it was dark, and they got it turned around, and they sprayed it up their nostril, and it was a good spray, like, and two different people had the same thing. So whatever you do, don't spray this up your snot locker.
Well, now, so I could see her, like, sometimes not knowing what it is. She'd go in there and think it's like a spray down, like it's one of this cover scents, and spray it down. Like, don't touch that.
Well, it's natural. It won't hurt you. But
but the deer will come after you.
Yeah, years ago, we had a little plastic bottle, and the deal was you could squirt it like 30 feet out of your tree. And Sinex had Vic Sinex, or one of those people, had a spray that was almost like it. And the guy put one in his pocket, one in the other pocket. He stuck that Tink 69 up and gave it 2 squirts. And it was the pure stuff, not spray, but it was pure liquid that went. And he had some real problems.
So what would you say, you've been doing this quite a while, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment? If you had to say, what's your biggest accomplishment?
Well, I would say educating hunters. Okay. And I had as not directly with the scent, but I had a big hand in forming the National Bowhunters Education Foundation. And we have bow hunter education in 49 states. And I wrote most of the syllabus.
Okay.
And I was working for the NRA, and they let me do it on company time. And Bill Wadsworth, and we've educated over almost 2 million bow hunters in ethical bow hunting and safety. It's not just safety, but it's how to hunt and how to work on the deer and everything. And I would say that's my biggest accomplishment.
That's a good accomplishment, because I'll tell you, you know, before her father passed, I mean, my dad never hunted. So he taught me a lot of what now I'm kind of figuring things out as I go. You know, I've only been doing it 7 years for hunting. I've fished my whole life. And so, you know, we started with our kids. My son's real young. So to see that, I mean, you're putting back into the industry that you kind of started with.
And the other thing that I did, I was one of the first people, one of the first editors of Bow Hunter magazine. And Mary and James, I went with them from the second issue, and I was their technical editor. And he had a thing called Ask Tink. And people wonder, how do you get feathers to stay on carbonaras? And what's the difference between a Carbonara 7 and a Carbonara 9? And this was before aluminum arrows had really got popular. And I was the advice man. And I did that for 10.5 years with Bow Hunter magazine. Eventually, Bow Hunter magazine was sold. And Marion James is a very wealthy man, but I like to think that I put my stamp on it.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look back, who taught you? I mean, did you have family that taught you how to do all this, or did you kind of pick it up as you went?
Well, my dad was a hunter, but he wasn't a bow hunter.
Okay.
But a story that you will like, I lived in Germany right after World War II, and when I was in first grade, we lived about a mile from an airfield. And every day a Piper Cub would come 80 miles an hour, would fly over the house. And the Army had given us some wooden York bows, 31 pounds and 35 pounds. And they were target arrows. And I couldn't string them. I mean, the bow was taller than I was. And we had a Polish fireman that shoveled coal. So I got him to string the bow. And one day the plane flew over and I pulled back like that. And the wooden arrow stuck in the wing of the plane. The plane kept on going. And it was a Saturday morning. And I remember that because I was off of school. And about an hour later, an MP Jeep with 4 MPs with machine gun, my father shows up. And they said, let's take a look at your arrows. And I said, oh, I haven't seen those in a long time. And they went and got my bow and arrows and everything. And that was in 1947. My dad took my bow away until the summer of '49.
Oh my!
When we moved to Florida, and I got in big trouble with the bow.
I bet they were not too happy with you on that.
Yeah.
That's what young boys do, right?
Yeah. And he lived in Germany, and they had wild boar and red deer to hunt, and I got to see wild boar. And I'm fortunate enough to live in Texas, and there's a German community called Fredericksburg where they still speak German. And when they settled into Texas in the 1880s, deer were almost non-existent. Whitetail was very, very rare. When they saw a track, they put it in the newspaper. You know. They imported wild hogs from Germany, Russian boar, European boar, and they have pure Russian boar. And 2 years ago, I shot one, and I thought it might have been a Russian. And then I shot one this year, and the hair split. On a true Russian hog, the hair split, and they use them for paintbrushes because it holds more paint when you're making bristles. You've heard of boar bristles?
Yeah.
And painting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where they come from. The European wild boar. And this guy he was a big guy. And I'm going to have him mounted. The face was long and flat and everything. And one of my dreams was always to shoot a pure Russian boar like they had in Germany. And I have them in my backyard now.
I think a lot of people, they think, you know, because you're in the business of deer scent and, you know, that's the only thing that you hunt, you know, but no, you get out there and you hunt all these animals.
We have a tremendous bear scent, and when you spray it, it smells like glazed donuts.
Wow.
I mean, it makes your tongue start licking, you know, and the bear can't resist it. They'll come. And I was hunting one time, and they only sent me 5 of them, and so I was on a 5-day hunt. And one of them was empty, and I threw it down in the woods. And the next day, I got to the same stand, and they had bears that punctured this cylinder, and they had chewed it all up, even though it was empty.
Oh man, just because of that smell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if just to ask you for something fun for the folks watching, if you had to say, what is your favorite animal to hunt? I mean,
Hardest animal is the mature Midwestern whitetail.
okay. Why is that?
Well, the Midwestern and the Eastern whitetail, they're very heavily pressured. The Texas whitetail, we have millions of them. You know, they see them dead on the road all the time. But the Midwest, he has to live in pieces of woods between cornfields, and people are always after him, and he's very, very wary. And I would say the Midwestern whitetail.
Wow. That's pretty good.
It's hard to get.
I have not been out Midwest.
I used to be a professional hunter in Africa.
Okay.
And I can get you a kudu. I can get you a buffalo. I can get you a sable.
Right.
Okay, but I can't get you a mature whitetail buck.
So I take it those aren't ones that you get filmed all the time
No,
either.
no, not unless they're in a petting zoo.
Right, yeah,
or
exactly.
something like that.
Exactly. Well, you know what, Tink? I really appreciate you taking the time to sit and talk with us.
Honored.
Honestly.
I deeply appreciate this. I've been to every one. This SHOT Show will be my 48th or 49th SHOT Show.
Wow.
And I just hope I can keep doing it, I am slowing down a little bit.
Hey, you know what? They have the Quiet Cat booth over there. They got a nice little cruiser that you can cruise around on the floor. I'm telling you, she almost wanted to take it.
Oh, wow.
Guys, this has been Tink here in the Tink's booth. We really appreciate you taking the time. Make sure you check him out, tinks.com. Check him out on Facebook. Really great guy. And stay tuned for more here at ATA 2019.
That's great.